Shalom, family. Good to see you all. Hope you're doing well. Well, we're on this topic again because gas prices surged again overnight. Man, I don't know how much more the public is going to take. So this time around, I went to look at how much a barrel of oil is. Now, when Donald Trump was doing all that babbling out in the news, it dropped down to, I think, $84 a barrel. Well, it's over $125 per barrel. There are economists that are predicting it can go between to $300 a barrel. Now, I want you to also keep in mind Donald Trump still is using the US Navy to block the Strait of Hormuz. The block has not stopped. It's been going on now for several weeks, and he won't call it off. But at the same time, he expects Iran to sit down and negotiate with him. And Iran already told him as long as that blockade is there, they will not be sitting down with Donald Trump. And he won't stop. So the end result of that is globally, everybody is going to have to pay more money for their gas and oil. And it's going to have a horrible effect, because even the economists are saying because the fuel cost has gone up, that means it's going to cost more for virtually everything: food, goods, services, all kinds of things are going to be skyrocketing, you know? And I mean, even with me, I had to raise my prices because my supplies all cost more money, you know? And that's my fear. I fear it's going to go up again. And what's happening is really beyond everybody's control. But Donald Trump can call that mess off if he really wants to. He doesn't want to. So, as long as that blockade is there, you're not going to see too many talks going on. The talks are not going to go anywhere. So, y'all, let me go ahead and share my screen. Now, it's going to be two videos that you're going to watch. The first one is going to be CNN. And then the second one will be pretty much, it's going to be a mixture of news and people's responses. All right. Okay, y'all. Please give me a one if you can see my screen. Thank you.
Chrissy Lustout is live this hour in Hong Kong. So, Chrissy, we heard the president say there he does not want to lift the blockade, feels it's going well. We're also seeing the price of oil surge once again, the global economy continuing to feel the pinch, not just Iran, of course. Bring us up to speed about where things stand at this hour.
Yeah, Erica, the war in the Middle East is now stretching into its ninth week, and the U.S. president is digging in. Donald Trump is now warning that the U.S. will maintain its naval blockade on Iranian vessels and ports unless Iran agrees to curb its nuclear program. And as a result, the price of oil is surging. Let's show you what the global oil benchmark looks like right now. Brent crude on Wednesday, it soared some 6%. It reached a 1-month high. Now you can see right there, Brent crude well over 120 US dollars a barrel, now hitting $124.46 a barrel. We're also keeping an eye on gas prices at the pump in the United States. Gas prices, according to AAA, remain very elevated. And let's show you what gas prices look like now. Before the war, under $3. Now, about $4.23, the average price of gasoline in the United States. Now, it was in an interview with Axios on Wednesday. That's when we heard from the US president. That's when he doubled down on the US blockade in the Strait of Hormuz and elsewhere. This is what the US president said. Let's bring it up for you. He said, quote, "The blockade is somewhat more effective than the bombing. They are choking like a stuffed pig, and it's going to be worse for them. They can't have a nuclear weapon," unquote. The U.S. Central Command has called the U.S. naval blockade, quote, "highly effective." It's also said that the blockade has managed to intercept or redirect some 42 vessels since it began earlier this month. Now, in response, Iran is defiant. We heard from the parliamentary speaker who took to the social media platform X to openly ridicule Donald Trump as well as rising oil prices. This is what he said. He said, quote, "That was the kind of junk advice that the U.S. administration gets from people like Bessent," in reference to the U.S. Treasury Secretary, "who also pushed the blockade theory and cranked oil up to 120 plus. Next stop, 140. The issue isn't the theory, it's the mindset," unquote. Now, mockery aside, Iran is also telling the people across the country to conserve energy. We heard from Iran's oil ministry appealing to the 90 million people inside the country. Now is a time to cut energy consumption as the U.S. naval blockade continues to hold. Erica.
And so, Christy, as we're watching all of this, of course, and oil prices surging, and as you're walking us through the fallout here, Asia is particularly vulnerable, I know.
Yes, absolutely. And this is something we've been covering all along throughout this conflict, Erica. You know, Asia and the economies here closely keeping an eye on the U.S. naval blockade and the Strait of Hormuz. Before the war, some 80% of the energy that would flow through the strait would head here to the Asia Pacific region. So this crisis has started an energy crisis. It's also turned into an everything crisis. There is a shortage of everything here in Asia, from natural gas, crude oil, to plastics, to sulfur, to fertilizers, which is needed for food as well. This has had knock-on effects on aviation in the industry, with a number of airlines across Asia cutting flights. It's also had a knock-on effect in the production of nickel in Indonesia, a major world producer of nickel. It needs sulfur, this byproduct of petroleum, in order to undergo this exercise. What South Korea and the government there is doing, it's diversifying its energy supply, trying to move away from the Strait of Hormuz, trying to get its energy from other places directly from the United States, from Algeria, elsewhere. China, meanwhile, very interesting. It's been relatively shielded because of its own vast reserves, the fact that it has an electrified power grid, it's diversified its power sources, it's using a lot of coal. Still, it's vulnerable to rising prices as well as rising exports. And Erica, we do have to talk about the human impact here. The human suffering is acute. We have been talking to farmers in Thailand, drivers in the Philippines. They are dealing with the fallout from rising prices, from shortages of fuel. The United Nations recently warned that 8.8 million more people across Asia will fall into poverty as this war grinds on. Erica.
Yeah, and it is important. I'm so glad you pointed that out, because we cannot forget that human toll, and it is growing by the day. Chrissy Lustout in Hong Kong this hour. Thank you.
And as you can see, Donald Trump don't care, y'all. He don't care. He doesn't care. Like they said, he doubled down on this blockade. He's doubling down. He doesn't care that overnight the gas prices are jumping up and people are, having sticker shock looking at this stuff going up on a regular basis. So I don't see the blockade ending anytime soon. I think they're far apart on any kind of agreement right now. So let me share my screen again. Okay. All right, y'all. Oh yeah, they're sitting there watching the prices rise, and he's doing absolutely nothing. It's not just us, it's the entire globe that is dealing with all of this inflation. You know? Thank you for the ones. Okay.
yesterday that he had actually rejected an Iranian proposal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, get oil tankers flowing again, because he said it would have put off an agreement about Iran's nuclear program until later.
Donald Trump is making this claim, and I don't believe Donald Trump at all, that the Iranians came to him with a proposal that I absolutely don't believe, to open the Strait of Hormuz, and Donald Trump turned them down. I don't believe no such thing happened. I think this is Donald Trump once again in the media lying to everybody. What reason would Iran need to come to Donald Trump to open the Straits of Hormuz? They opened it on their own the last time without consulting with Donald Trump. So why would they need to come to Donald Trump now? Come to him he always trying to make himself seem like he's way more important than what he really is. Now, give it about a day or two, and Iran will come out and said they never reached out to Donald Trump. You watch. This happens all the time. He'll put some claim out there in the media, and then Iran will come right behind and debunk what Donald Trump said. I don't believe him. I know he's lying.
Trump insisted the U.S. blockade is going to remain in place for now and that he has the upper hand. He discussed all of this with the crew of Artemis II arrayed behind him.
It takes people like this to make our country great.
It was an Oval Office event meant to celebrate Artemis II's successful mission around the moon. But the conversation quickly veered to pressing issues back here on Earth, including the impasse in Iran.
They have to cry uncle. That's all they have to do. Just say, we give up. We give up. But their economy is really in trouble.
The U.S. economy is suffering too, with gas prices jumping 7 cents in just one day to an average of $4.30 a gallon. Global oil prices climbed above $120 per barrel Wednesday, the highest since 2022, as investors came to terms with the possibility of a months-long disruption to supply.
It hasn't even peaked yet.
The Federal Reserve declined to lower interest rates Wednesday, with Chairman Jerome Powell citing the rising cost of gas.
Remember, when gas prices go up, that's disposable income coming out of people's pockets, so they're going to spend less on other things.
With the U.S. and Iran both claiming to control the Strait of Hormuz, shipping traffic has fallen to 5% of its normal levels. In a social media post, Trump warned Iran no more Mr. Nice Guy, brandishing a weapon in this AI image. There are no talks currently scheduled, though Trump insisted he can get a deal done by phone.
The blockade has been 100% foolproof. It shows how good our Navy is. I can tell you that. Nobody's going to play games.
Germany's chancellor has a very different view. He said a few days ago that the Americans obviously have no strategy for exiting this 9-week war. Well, on Wednesday, in what appeared to be a tit for tat, Trump announced he's now considering pulling some U.S. troops out of Germany.
Well. Oil giant BP announces huge rise in profits in first results since the Iranian war. Exceptional oil trading contributed to the more than doubling of profits, BP said. We didn't hear me the first time. BP recorded more than a doubling of profits as benefits from high prices from the Iranian war. Benchmark oil prices have soared since early March, and we all know that it's roughly, 20 to 25p per litre than what it was before. We've had no duty cuts from the government. You know, they've not had any, free or sort of like, discounted public transport put on. Nothing like that. Just big companies and big people making a lot of money. That's what I see here. For the first 3 months of this financial year, it shows that an underlying profits hit. Yeah. I mean, seriously. I'm still adamant to this day that these petrol stations put whatever the fucking price they want to put on them boards every single morning. My petrol station near me was up twice in one day. When I went to work, it was up. And then when I came home, it was up. They just think, well, we'll make more money out of it. And why is every petrol different? Why is every petrol station different? Why is everyone, there used to be a Shell literally near me. There was one Shell garage at the bottom of the road. I mean, it wasn't even a second, probably a 10-second drive up the road on the other side. The same fucking Shell garage, and it always charged 2 or 3p litre mower. They just make it up. Profiteer from us people. There's your evidence.
Republicans don't want people to see this. Trump promised to cut your bills in half. Instead, you're paying more than ever. Watch this.
We will cut your energy prices in half, and you can get very angry at me if we don't do it. My plan will cut energy prices in half or more than that within 12 months of taking office. Number one, your energy bill within 12 months will be cut in half, and that's my pledge all over the country.
Have your energy bills gone down 50%? Americans are struggling. Was this what we voted for? We voted for relief. So why are Americans struggling more? Today, that hope feels distant. Gas prices have surged, electricity costs are up, and the average household is paying more just to maintain the same standard of living. Trump promised relief. America got betrayal. And here's a deeper frustration. While every day Americans tighten their budgets, billions of taxpayer dollars continue to flow into foreign conflicts and overseas commitments. The question many are now asking is simple. Why are Americans paying more at home while their money is being spent abroad? This isn't just about energy bills. It's about trust. A promise was made directly to the American people, cut costs in half. But instead of relief, families are seeing the opposite. Who is actually benefiting while Americans struggle? Why do promises feel different from reality?
Stock market today hit an all-time high. Hit an all-time high yesterday, the day before, and it's staying there. I thought oil would go up to maybe $200 a barrel.
So what can we take away from that comment? We can take away that he thought oil would go to $200 a barrel, and he still made the decision he made. So that tells us that his decisions moving forward regarding Iran, at least according to that, are not going to be predicated on what oil prices do. But what is somewhat concerning about this statement he made, the stock market's doing fine. I've talked a lot about the ramifications of this supply disruption having a lag, how we're going to really see the effects of this 30, 60, 90 days, even 6 months from now. And how most people say, if everything's fine today, then it's fine. Don't look ahead. And that's what he's doing when he says the stock market's fine. When the stock market is no longer fine, it's already too late. In addition, the stock market doesn't come with you when you fill up your car with gas, or it doesn't go with you when you go to the grocery store. What I'm afraid he's going to say pretty soon is, why are we talking about gas prices? Why are we talking about Iran? Because that's what he did with the Epstein files. Yeah. Thanks.
Global commodity prices are on track to hit their highest level since 2022. And the World Bank says the reason is clear. The war in Iran is sending a powerful inflationary vibe through global supply chains. According to the World Bank, its global commodity price index is expected to climb about 16% this year, marking the first annual increase since Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The biggest driver is energy. The effective shutdown of the Strait of Hormuz, which handles roughly a third of the world's seaborne oil flows, has triggered one of the largest supply shocks on record. This week, crude is back in triple-digit territory. Goldman Sachs is projecting that Brent crude will average $90 a barrel by the fourth quarter of this year, and the impact doesn't stop with oil. Gas prices now sit at the highest level since 2022, and fertilizer prices are projected to jump some 31%, raising risk for food prices later this year. Commodity prices aren't rising in isolation. They're responding to a sustained geopolitical shock that's reshaping energy, food, and inflation risks worldwide.
If oil hits $300 a barrel, this is how life could change for the United States and everyone in it. With oil being blocked, most people think that just our gas is going to go up. But in fact, oil is essential in things like medicine, energy, and everything else pretty much in the world. If oil hits $300 a barrel, which they are predicting it will, gas prices could go up to $15 per gallon, and medicine could almost double or triple the cost that it is now. But that is just one domino that will fall. Families will start to have to make hard choices. Now, to understand all of this, you need to know that America's superpower is not its military, it's the dollar. After World War II, the United States made a deal where all oil around the world gets bought with the US dollar. This is what is called the petrodollar. Every country that needs oil needs to buy it in dollars, and this is what keeps the United States on top. Now, with the recent conflict, they're blocking oil on purpose. They want to essentially topple our economy. Now, Iran is not the only country that wants to topple the US dollar. There's plenty of other countries that do as well. These are called the BRICS countries, and they have unified, and they want a gold-backed standard instead of a US dollar.
Oil prices have surged after reports suggested the U.S. may impose a prolonged blockade on Iran. The global benchmark, Brent crude, climbed above $120 per barrel on Wednesday, briefly reaching $122, its highest level since 2022.
Breaking news this morning, gas prices jumping again overnight, now reaching the highest price since August 2022. The national average, $4.18 a gallon. That's up nearly 7 cents since Monday. It's a new high since the war with Iran began.
Ladies and gentlemen, apparently everything's totally fine. There's nothing to see here. Just a tiny global oil disruption, maybe a few missing millions of barrels of oil per day. And oh yeah, the most important shipping lane on planet Earth quietly breaking down. But other than that, we're doing pretty good. I mean, just relax, because according to the experts on TV, it's all under control, right? Because while Donald J. Trump is doing everything that he can to keep the economy on the up and up and strong, the S&P 500 is out here acting like it just had 3 cups of espresso. The data from JP Morgan Chase and warnings from the International Monetary Fund are basically screaming, guys, little problem here. And that little problem here just so happens to be the Strait of Hormuz. You know, that minor little detail about, where about 20% of the world's oil flows through or used to. But don't worry, it's probably nothing. I mean, it's not like analysts like Chris Martenson and Luke Grauman are warning that what we're seeing right now is basically a giant economic calm before the storm set up. Meanwhile, China and Russia are just casually adjusting to all of this like it's all part of the plan, totally normal. So if you've been wondering why this feels a little off, yeah, you're not crazy. Stick with me, guys. Hit subscribe, because what you're about to see, we're going to connect the dots that nobody else is connecting. And if this hits the way that I think it will, go ahead and smash the like button on the way out. And quick heads up, folks, if you're on Medicare or getting close to that age, maybe you have a loved one who is, there is free help through Chapter, phone number on the bottom of your screen here. I also left a link for you in the description down below. Give our friends over at Chapter a call. All right, so let's start here, because this is where people get fooled. You turn on the news, everything looks calm. Markets are up. Gas prices, not great, but not the worst we've ever seen. So naturally, the conclusion is we're good, except we're not. This is where things get dangerous, because what you're seeing right now is what economists love to call a lag, which is exactly, basically, it's a fancy word for the problem already happened. You just haven't quite felt it yet. Now think about that, right? Think about that for a second. If a tsunami starts in the middle of the ocean, the water at the beach still looks pretty calm, right up until it doesn't. And this is exactly what's happening right here.
All right. I was watching a video this morning, and it was a brother, and he was really upset over the gas prices and everything. And he was like, Trump, you got to do something about this. This government ain't going to help us. This government is not going to help us through this. You hear how crazy Donald Trump is talking. Donald Trump is talking like a complete lunatic on this whole thing. He is not going to do anything about these prices, y'all. He's not going to do nothing. He's going to do just what you're seeing, continue to block the Strait of Hormuz and act like he's shutting Iran down from getting nuclear weapons, and Iran never was a threat in the first place. But he's got to play this whole thing up, y'all. If he don't, then you'll clearly know that it was unnecessary. He doesn't want you to believe that. He wants you to believe I'm stopping Iran from getting nuclear weapons. That's what this is all for, to keep them from getting nukes. In the meantime, everybody's wallet is looking thinner and thinner between the food prices, the gas, the goods. It is just absolutely crazy. It's crazy. But MAGA wants us all to believe that Donald Trump is a businessman. This is why we want to. Look, he's a businessman. Donald Trump has never been a good businessman. If they would have took a closer look, this man has never been no good businessman. How the hell do you bankrupt a damn casino? I mean, come on. Money is always pouring in a casino and he bankrupt. How the hell, please. Mhm. Yeah, well, you're going to have to look out for yourself. Like I said, this government ain't going to help anybody out here that's struggling. And the struggle is about to get worse. Pay attention when they tell you a barrel of oil has gone up because it now has a domino effect on everything out here, every product, every good, every service that you use. And now going to have to pay more money for it. I thought I saw a kid. Gravity, if I did, shalom to you. I thought I saw you a little earlier. So, anyway, y'all, my next live is going to be the trust issues that our people have with white people. I'm starting to see more of those videos online. So, we're going to see those videos and hear what they're saying. Because, some of them are very ultra sensitive and take offense to the fact that we're even talking about this. Like, you know, um, just because you want to ignore something, you don't get to demand everybody ignore something. It's just the way it is. So we'll talk about that at 1:45. So thank you, y'all. Have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. Oh, let me thank somebody here. Dark Skin Brother, thank you for the 36-month channel membership. Shalom, Lisa, my warrior sister. Keep up the amazing work, Queen. Thank you so much. And thank you for your support for my channel. Thank you very much. Shalom, family.